Disinformation is as good as a lie if it's effective. Telling people that a truth is a truth, whether or not it really is a truth, is effective if you're good at it. It's very effective. One of the examples I'd like to go to, and I'm sure all of you are going to understand this, and the reason I want to go to this example is because we're going to have a lot of people who are liberal, as opposed to us. They think that, we're too crazy far left and we're conspiracy theorists like Spittin said. But, their main source of information is like 24-hour news to show them that, hey, maybe your sources aren't really up to snuff. Yeah. All the way from when Trump was elected until now, what is the number one thing we've heard about from liberal media?
Oh, Russia.
There you go. Russia. All this stuff. Putin and Russia. Steele dossier. Putin and Russia are working together. Putin and Trump, rather, are working together. Russia and America are working out some kind of shit. Trump's trying to make personal money. Deutsche Bank, criminal payments, cover-ups, hookers, all this sorts of stuff that was apparently going on between Trump and Russia. And here we are in 2021 with no evidence of it whatsoever, other than typical president talks to Russia stuff.
Me and my buddy, we used to watch Maddow every night. We'd play a drinking game where every time she said Russia, we had to take a drink. And
are you guys okay?
Unfortunately, he drowned.
Yeah, but it's not like us just saying like, okay, she talks about Russia a lot, so what? When Rachel Maddow presents her case, she always presents her case as if we already know this. I'm just telling you information that you should have. She doesn't present it as, and I think she would be more honest if she did. She doesn't present it like, so here's what people are talking about. This is a possibility that we're exploring because the information that we have is telling us to take a look at this. That's one thing, to say like, hey, people are talking about this, but we really don't know where it stands. It's just a conversation that we're having. We're going to see where it goes. The way she presents her show at all times is, hey, wake up, America. Russia is literally playing with your balls from behind right now, and you don't realize it. You better be ready, because our president is a treasonous, fascist government agent placed here by Putin to dismantle us from the inside.
She had that lawsuit against OAN, right?
Oh, yeah.
The judge awarded in her favor, but in order to do that, her lawyers had to admit that what she does every night is not the news.
Yeah.
It's entertainment.
Yeah, and I think I've heard the quote, like, nobody who watches my show should expect that they should not take her seriously or something to that effect.
Yeah.
It's the same thing Tucker Carlson did.
It's like the WWE of news.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really great comparison, honestly. Because it's creating the illusion of truth within like a very complete lie or a very complete setup.
So it's the number 2 rated news program every night, behind Tucker. And he's just as guilty as she is of doing this misinformation campaign. Whatever is going to keep the people tuned in.
If you look at the details of this, it's part of the suit stemmed because she got on TV and said that OAN were organizers and contributors for Russia State News, Sputnik, and then went on to say that OAN literally is paid Russian propaganda.
How can you go on live TV or recorded TV and just blatantly lie, and then when you get to like court, they're just like, oh, well.
Because, as Spittin pointed out, they're arguing that they're not presenting news. They're not being, like, here's another article. This one talks about what you're talking about, Yeti. It's the quote.
No, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But for most people, we tune into, like, CNN, we assume they're news.
And
that's what they always tell us, right?
They depend on that assumption. They need you to be that way. Because then, like Rachel says here, I'm not a real journalist, defense prevails in court. In the same way that the WWE can get on television and have one of their big hulky fucking steroid boys say, hey man, on Sunday night, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna break you and throw you around, because we all know you can't just go out in the street and solve your problems like that, or you're gonna go to jail. We all know that. In the same way that the WWE promotes their disinformation, their lies about what you're watching on TV, and I say that as a wrestling fan, in the same way that they do that, the 24-hour news networks are not doing journalism. They're doing spin, and they're doing, if anything, they're doing yellow journalism, and they're doing spin, because you can say any fuck thing you want on national television if you classify it as an opinion. That's why when they have these big stories that come up, you know, like like Sandy Hook or, you know, the Vegas shooting. There's only a limited story there. There was a shooting that took place. Here's the person who did it. Here's the weapon they used. Here's their self-claimed motivation. That's really that's about all the info you can put on television. But they got a 45-minute show to fill. So they bring on this guy who's wrote this book, this guy who's wrote this article, and they say, give us your opinion on it. And then they bring on some guy from the opposition so they can clown that opinion. And then they fill their 45 minutes with opinion. So when you're watching, you go out into the public and recite that opinion as if it's fact. I mean, you think about how many people you know in your life who cannot argue. Like, they cannot present a good point and back it up without either an argument from ignorance fallacy or a no true Scotsman fallacy or, you know, an ad hominem. They just don't understand because they don't have the tools. The 24-hour media depends on you being dumb enough to recite opinion as fact. Because their corporate big daddies want you out there wasting your time arguing over stupid, minutious bullshit that doesn't progress anything. They want you out there with your Trump neighbor or your Biden neighbor arguing back and forth about whether or not Venezuela is a successful country so that you don't notice when they take all of your fucking money and reinvest it into fucking wartime stocks so they can make their own profits like 10 times what they were last week.